Okay, great. Let's dive straight into warming up the body. Arms overhead, stretch into the fingers. At the same time, pressing into the floor. Try and find that length through the spine. Reaching up through the fingers. And then let's take it into the neck. So as you lower the arms, take the head to one side and just feel that gentle release down the side of the neck. Take it side to side. Deep breathing, stretching. Breathing out, melting down, finding some release and softening down the shoulders. So another set side to side. Now, you know, I like to get your brains working. So today, a thought or an invitation for you to explore in your work with your muscles and how you move the body is instead of going to the end, finding the edge and pushing your flexibility, we can think about maybe pulling back a little bit and not finding the edge and just exploring how that then plays out in the body and how we then experience that stretch. The next time you go to the side, just take the head down and up. So that closed and open twist, keeping the jaw soft. The other side. And then into the shoulders. So initially we can go for the full range of movement. So going straight up, all the way back, drawing the biggest possible circles. And then we can back off slightly and we'll probably find a more fluid, softer, less clunky movement. And this is the mobilisation. We're not trying to push flexibility, just warming up the joints. See if you can match the breath. Breathe in and reach up. Breathe out and melt down. Let's take it the other way. So taking a big circle initially, just so you feel that stretch. And then softening those circles, taking them a little bit smaller, so that you've got time to soften the shoulders down. Work with the breath. And then we'll do the same with the hips. So one big circle, so you're exploring to the edge. Just so that we start to think about this idea of then backing off, because then we can sometimes go actually a little bit deeper into the stretch more safely. And there's that weird thing of backing off a stretch can either add intensity or reduce the intensity. And you'll see that with the exercises we go through. Let's take those circles in the other direction. So don't push it. Just try to find a nice smooth movement all the way around. That's perfectly fine and adequate for warming up the hips. Same with the knees if we take the feet hip distance apart. Swaying, so it's a sway gentle circle, because obviously we want to train the muscles that keep the knees, ankles in a nice alignment, but at the same time we need to have that mobility in the knees, that we can other direction, that we can withstand the force or the pressure challenges of a trip or going over on your ankle. So just warming up those muscles. And then into the ankle, let's point the toe and circle. And again, if you go right to your edge, I'm saying the edges, you know, as far as you feel you can go, if you back off, you'll actually find we have fluidity of movement. We're not adding that intensity pressure to go a little bit further. Take the circles in the other direction. Shake out the hip, ankle of your other leg, point the toe. Maybe point and flex and spread the toes, and then let's circle. So again, as soon as you start to back off, you lose that clunkiness, and all the muscles are warming up without adding stress onto the joint and the other direction. Have a little shake out. So let's explore that with a gentle forward fold with a flat back. So roll the shoulders back and down, squeeze the glutes so that we get that length of the tailbone. Close the front ribs with shoulders back and down. Now let's start by holding the hips, putting in those core muscles. Now squeezing the glutes. Take a forward fold without having a fixed idea in the mind. Sometimes we think, right, we need to come to a 90-degree angle, but actually just come forwards with a long spine, straight legs without locking out the knees. And maybe it's not a 90-degree angle, but we're warming up the backs of the legs. We're spreading the weight over the feet, and we can press the hands into the hips to push the hips back and lengthen the neck forwards. So now we're starting to decompress the spine without loading, without pressurizing ourselves to look in a particular shape or go to right to the end. Here we can use the whole body. We're stretching the backs of the legs, we're lengthening the spine, we're working to keep the shoulders slightly back and down, crown of the head forwards. Squeeze the glutes, tummy bottom back to the spine and come back up to standing. Move the arms, we'll take a small back bend where it's the upper back which is extending. So think about your heart lifting up to the ceiling. Deep breath in and one more fold. Shoulders back and down. Now either the hands on the hips again or the hands can come out in front of you. So just exploring how we can change intensity without putting more stress on the body. So see if you can keep the pressure into the outline of the feet. So we want to keep the pressure into the toes and the balls of the feet so we're not tempted to lock out the knees. A little bit of softening in the knees, but that length in the backs of the legs, along the spine, without going to your end range. We're holding the body where we can actually hold it. Engage the core muscles, front ribs together and come up with control. So we'll start to find we have more control over the movement and coming out of a posture. Okay, just shake out the legs, kick the bottom. We're going to come into a side bend, so the legs can get a little bit wide, squeeze the glutes. And if we take a lateral flexion, so sometimes we try and go reach, and get a full stretch here. Actually, rather than relying on the hands, shoulders back and down, see where you can hold the body. So we keep that nice long spine, we're maintaining our plumb line in that lateral flexion, and we're holding the core muscles instead of collapsing further. So this is much more intense. We're using more muscles, we're gripping the floor with the feet, squeezing the glutes, and we're holding the body in place. And because we're already holding, it's much easier to glide up to the top. So this becomes more strengthening, even though we're not going as deeply. So there's the thought for today. So as we go through different exercises, we'll see some exercises where we pull back, as in this one, you're actually working more intensely. We're really loading on the core here rather than collapsing, but then we're already in that strong, engaged position to stand up. Once more each side, so shoulders back and down. Keep that long spine. Keep the chin back into the chest, the shoulders are still stacked, and we're lengthening into the spine without collapsing. Now we're really making this a full body movement. Shoulders are back and down. We've got that long line, squeeze the glutes. We haven't collapsed, so there's no jerking or momentum required, just more strength to come back up. Last time, over to your left or over to your other side. So where we can hold the body. So this is more strength and endurance that we're promoting here. And also challenging the brain. We don't want to go into autopilot when we take that side bend, forward flexion, spine extension. We're actually thinking about what we're putting the body through. So find that engagement in the core to come back up to standing. All right, to shake out the hips. We're going to take that stacked twist that we've taken in the past. So one foot in front of the other. Let's all make it our right foot in front of the left. Find that balance between the 2 feet. Retuck the tailbone, shoulders back and down, and then link the chin with the chest, fingertips together. Squeeze the glutes, breathe in, and as you breathe out, we're only twisting across to your right, so over that front leg, keeping the hips square to the front, shoulders down. So without going so far that we start clenching the teeth, it was tensioning the shoulders, just swiveling around on the axis of the spine, and then breathing in back to center. Using the out breath to take that twist. We'll just do 2 more to the right. So we have to stabilize between the 2 feet, squeezing the glutes, and throughout, let's keep that light engagement in the core. There's our stabilizing muscles and not going right to the edge. So there's not tension at the end of this. It's a nice relaxed rotation of the spine. Last time over to the right, and then we'll switch directions. So you may find that you're actually having to concentrate a lot more, but this is good, it's good. Increase your powers of focus, concentration, mindfulness in the movements. See how it plays out in the body. And then come center, let's switch sides. If balances are tricky, just separate the feet slightly. Just find where it's a challenge, but not so much so that you feel vulnerable. Okay, again, link the chin in the chest. We're squeezing the glutes, so we keep this neutral spine position. And using the out breath, hips stay square to the front, and let's swivel around to the left. Now, the first time you may find you find your edge and you've got that satisfying wringing out of the waist, but then backing off, see if you can more mindfully, softly go into that twist. So we start with the feet imprinting, lock top of the head up to the ceiling, and a gentler position in the shoulders, the neck. Take a breath in, center, adjusting 2 more to this side, to shoulders stay down. We've got that pressure into the floor, but lift up through the crown of the head. We are swiveling round, but not at the expense of creating tension anywhere else in the body. Last time in this direction, using the out breath just because it's easier on the exhalation to pull in those core muscles. We're going slow enough that you can make sure the jaw's soft, shoulders down, and then ease out. Brilliant. Taking a twist, feet hip distance apart. Now this isn't a popular one, and let's get it out of the way. In a chair pose, often when we bend the knees, we just need to check that we can still see the toes. They'll always fall back. Now, if we take a prayer twist, very typical to hook the elbow on the outside of the knee. Let's not do that. Squeeze the glutes, close these front ribs together, tummy bottom back to the spine. And as you breathe out, use your own core strength to turn the chest to face the left wall. You can press the hands into each other to give you more strength, more of a twist. Keep the weight spread over the feet evenly. Now feel how much stronger we are in the core, but how much less intensity and stress we're loading on somewhere else in the body. Breathe in center and stand up just for a recovery breath. We'll go to the other side, breathing out. Knees tracking over the toes. Make sure you're sitting low as if in a low chair. So your glutes are working, your quads, and we take that prayer twist to the side without hooking the elbow onto the outside of the knee. We're just using pure strength in the core, so we may not go as far. But it's using the core muscles, and again, we've got that smoothness as we exit this asana. Breathing in, once more each side, squeeze the glutes because we're only doing one more set. Let's sit really low. So it may be almost like a power chair, squat with the hips a little bit lower. Take that twist, maybe look over your shoulder. Now if you're finding it a frustratingly small twist, you may want to hook the knee just to get that first twist to your edge, and then see if you can hold it. But I'd like you to do this without creating that clenching in the jaw, stress anywhere else in the body. And then last time up to standing, deep breath in here, squeeze the glutes, and then let's take it to the other side. So sitting low as if you're about to sit in a chair, so I can still see my toes, so I'm not straining my knees. And again, we can initially find our edge by hooking the elbow on the outside of the knee and getting a deep rotation of the spine, but then find that pulling in the core so you can actually hold your body in that position without collapsing onto the outside of the knee. Breathing deeply, looking over your shoulder if you can. The knees are still square. We're spreading the weight over the feet. Now, see if you can evenly press away from the floor as much through the big toe, little toe, the heel, the ball of the foot, and come up to standing. Great. We're going to come down, up and down to the mat with our sun salutations. So hopefully we've had enough repetition of that idea of just backing off and finding a different kind of intensity strengthening in our work by actually not going to the edge. Let's stand at the front of your mat, shoulders back and down, squeeze the glutes. Take a deep breath in and reach overhead without taking an excessive back bend, just the heart space reaching up to the ceiling. Reaching into the fingertips. Now let's press the air down. Remember that not forcing the forward fold, just let the head hang. Let the hands hold the legs wherever they find themselves, and just pause there for a moment. So just by breathing and softening into the forward fold, we'll go deeper, but without creating tension. So we're going to go straight into stepping the right foot back into a knee lunge. I'm mirroring you, so it will be my left, but keep mirroring me. Knee lunge, lower the right knee and lift up. So we're in a knee lunge here, the knee over the ankle. Now, as we take a crescent and a hamstring stretch, Think about not going to the edge. So let's sweep the arms up. Hips come forward slightly, reaching into the fingertips, but where you have integrity in the stretch from your fingertips to the toes, and the right toes at the back, so that we can ease ourselves back out, but we're not gone right to the edge, and we stretch the front leg. Bowing the head, now we've planted the heel of the foot, so we can pull back slightly to enjoy a stretch in the back of the leg without straining and overstretching the hamstrings. Let's take those two movements again. So we're looking for a nice flowing movement where we can own every bit of that transition. So we could pause at any moment. We've not gone right to the edge and collapse into too deep a stretch that we can't mindfully, carefully, safely come out of. We're coming into the hamstring stretch, backing off. And again, no forcing. Fingertips might be on the floor, on the hips. And just gently feeling that stretch in the back of the leg. So we don't have to force, and we'll go deeper. Hand to the floor. Now we're going to take a twist, right hand to the floor, turn to look over your shoulder. Now initially we can lift this left arm all the way up like a clam opening, looking over the shoulder, looking up at the ceiling, looking up at the fingertips, but then we can back off slightly. We can start to take some intensity out of this front hand and actually hold the body in place. So now we're using much more muscle intensity throughout the body. We're still working on that twist, and it's just that intention of rotating the spine where we're using the muscles all the way around the trunk, but we're not overloading any one area of the body. So here we can keep the shoulders down, keep the jaw soft. If it's a strain looking all the way up at the ceiling, just don't. We can look forwards, even just drop the head, especially if you're someone who holds tension in the neck. So backing off, we're still taking that twist. We can breathe smoothly without that jagged breath that we sometimes end up with when we're going right to the edge. And let's come all the way down. Gonna get you to step back, either all fours tabletop or a plank. Roll down onto your belly, come onto your belly, and then curl up, rolling the shoulders back and down to a little cobra, back bend without forcing. Elbows into the waist, we've still got a long neck. Tuck the toes and take a down dog. Through a lazy dog, lifting the hips. And let's take it in turns to pedal one heel down and then the other. So we're finding length in the back of the body without straining, just exploring a little bit of length in the spine, in the backs of the legs, and let's sway the hips side to side. We're not going to your end point, we're not going all the way into a side plank, we don't need to, we can still get that length and release in the sides of the body. To step your right foot to the front, we can either lower the knees or we can hold the leg and place it, but let's come back to that lunge with your right foot forwards. Step to the front of your mat, roll up through the spine, lift the arms out wide. In that reverse swan dive, hands in prayer, a return to heart center. We'll do the same, leading with the left leg. When you're ready, breathe in, open the chest wide, not forcing, don't go to the edge. Find a graceful, flowing movement without pushing, without forcing. Bowing the head, feel the backs of the legs, shake out tension. Nice deep breath in and out of the nose, and then let's step the left foot back. It's that knee lunge to step far back, lower the knee, find your balance and lift. So bottom slightly tucked so we get a psoas release here. And again, with that crescent lunge, the hips will come forwards, but don't go to your edge. Have a go at lengthening into the fingertips and a small lengthening so that we can hold the body in place. We're not jarring down into the base of the spine or straining the lower back here. We can hold that position and then glide out of this as we straighten the leg, lift the toes, and we have this hamstring stretch as we bow the head. No forcing, just feeling that length in the back of the leg. And then let's take it up again into that crescent. Sweeping the arms up, shoulders back and down, open across the chest. Where can you hold it so we're not sinking back and then we have to lunge back up, holding. And last time, into that hamstring stretch. And again, if you don't want to fully straighten that leg, a little bit of a bend, we're still finding some length in the back of the leg. This time it's the left hand that's going to stay on the floor, and initially take a big clam opening with this right arm and look right over the shoulder. Notice, are you finding you're getting tension in the neck, the jaw, in that shoulder? So then back off a little bit and find a bit of softening, and then a nice comfortable twist in the spine without overdoing it. Check in with the head. Is it better just to let it dangle? You know, we can work on the rotation mobility in the neck when we're upright, when we're not loading on so much weight of the skull on the neck in this side position. So hold the head where it's going to be comfortable, and we can more mindfully, softly, gently, safely take the body into this twist. Well done. Hand to the floor, tuck your toes under the back. It's either a plank or knees down. So if your knees are down, we can have the elbows into the waist and creep all the way forward, still we're on the belly. Otherwise, for everyone else, chaturanga through to cobra or full up dog. No choice. Put shoulders down, squeeze the glutes, and then let's tuck the toes and take a down dog. So taking it turns, one heel down towards the floor at a time, just pedaling it through, finding length in the spine, and without holding and gripping and forcing, just a nice easy movement in your down dog. Maybe the heels swivel and rest to one side and then the other. And then we're getting ready to step the left foot forward. So bend the knees, look at the hands, maybe hold the knee and help it into place. And we'll meet up in this runner lunge. When you're ready, step your back foot forwards, feel the imprint of the feet, engage through the body, lift, reverse swan dive, lift the arms overhead, hands meet, and breathe out to heart center. Brilliant. We're going to take the Prasarita Padasana, wide leg stance, forward fold. So here, another example of just not going to the edge. There is no need, but let's take the legs nice and wide, hands on the hips, so the webbing around the crease at the top of the leg. Squeeze the glutes, tilting the pelvis, never finding length in the spine. As we start to bow down, let's make sure we're not locking out the knees. So we may come to pretty much a flat back, or maybe we come all the way down, but let's not force it. Once you're in a forward fold, you might want to adjust the position of the feet, but try to avoid going to your end range. You want to feel where you can hold the floor, grip the floor with the whole outline of the foot, so that you can feel the whole of the legs really active and strong. So to release down the spine, blood rushing to the head, and pause. So we're here just for another 2 breaths to give you a chance to connect through the legs and focus on strong active legs rather than focus on deepening your forward fold. That will come just with the breath and gravity. At the end of your 3rd exhalation, bend the knees, head last to come up, roll up through the spine, and then toe and heel the feet back together. Brilliant. And we're going to come down to the mat. Oh, it's already nearly time. All right, so we're going to take a quick cat-cow and then a boat. So when you're ready, let's roll down through the spine, find the floor, and then come to all fours. So shoulders over the wrists. Separate the feet so they're hip distance apart, and let's go straight into cat-cow. So we'll breathe in and look up, exploring. So just with this down dog, a little bit of a sway is absolutely helpful and good and encouraged here. As you breathe out to the arching cat, rounding the back, and again swaying rather than jarring and going right to the edge in this flexion of the spine, just feeling your way through so we work the wrists. Last time, breathing in to curl up, deep breath, and breath out, arching cat. We come onto the backs to sit back on the heels. I'm going to tie this unruly hair back and sit on your bottom. We're setting up for boat. All right, so legs out in front of you, knees bent. We'll start with the feet on the floor. Shoulders back and down. And let's start with a C curve, just to engage the core muscles. Deep breath in to prepare as you breathe out, round the spine, and let's just feel that pull in of the ribs and tummy bottom back to the spine. Come back up, so we roll back onto the sit bones. Now as you breathe out, leaning back, start to feel that engagement in the core and see if we can float the legs up. If they're not coming up today, doesn't matter, toes on the floor or feet on the floor, we're still working the core. Arms, either hands behind the thighs or parallel to the floor, shoulders back. Now, if we find where like 100% effort is, which is a really low boat, everything extending, arms overhead, or a more supported rounding of the back where it's much, maybe 5% effort, let's come to a midway point. So where we've got time to make the breath nice and smooth in and out of the body. We can relax the shoulders down, and we can find that engagement in the body where it's needed. We can check in with our alignment so the ankles and knees are in line with the hips. We can let the shoulders melt down without forcing that shoulders back, and now they can just relax down. No clenching of the jaw, and just feeling the front ribs coming together, the tummy bottom back to the spine, so the effort certainly in these front and lower abdominals. Have the sensation that we're trying to tuck the tummy bottom under the ribs, so we're getting deep into those transverse abdominals. We're trying to get the shoulders down, and it's that medium level intensity. So isometrically strengthening the core muscles. And again, I'd like you to try and play around with the position where it's a controlled level of stress on the body, controlled strengthening position, but where the breath doesn't necessarily come jagged, or you can just focus on easy breath in and out of the nose. So rather than come out of the boat altogether, maybe the feet can come down on the floor and just concentrate on the breath, come back to the breath. And we just want to find a little bit of endurance and strength in the muscles. So we can have a go at closing the eyes, so we switch off from any shaking. We can really focus on finding smooth flow of breath in and out of the body. And from that still place, calm mind, we can see, are we building tension, unhelpful tension in the body? This is the jaw, the throat, typical areas. And let's see if we can breathe through it. You're nearly there. Deep breath in and out of the nose. 2 more breaths and we're coming into a restorative pigeon. So it's all nice stuff from now on. To go inside the body. And then let's roll all the way down. Let's hit one full body stretch. And then we've got time for a quick pigeon for the hips. So knees into the chest, let's turn over, and let's start with your left shin towards the front and extend your right leg. Now this is a classic example of where we can back off out of a stretch. You know, sometimes we're trying to desperately to get the shin parallel to the front edge of the mat. Let's eliminate any ideas of what this should look like. If we can extend the back leg, and even if we're sitting on this front heel, this is all fine. I just want you to start to find a softening in the hips. And to make this a restorative pose where we're still stretching or working the external rotators of this front hip, see if you can place your hands down and start to rest down into this pigeon. So it may be that your head's not going to come down to the floor today, so maybe stacking fists to rest the forehead down, gently swaying, and I'd encourage you to close the eyes, and you can go into adjusting this position, and you'll maybe see that actually sometimes when we try to force ourselves towards the shin being parallel to the front edge of the mat, we're actually doing really unhelpful things to the knee, and we're just pulling on tendons for no gain really at all. So what shape might be classed as the full expression of the pose is, well, for me, a little bit meaningless. Make this your own, your eyes closed, just softening down and enjoying the stretch in the hips, a little bit of a release in the glutes. Breathe into it. Softening down, it's just your time, and this bit of nurturing. Yes, you have been strengthening all the muscles in the body, but we're just taking it a different approach to it today. And it's good to challenge your brain to think in a slightly different way. It's time to switch legs though. So if you're in a folded position, head last to come up, slowly come up, and let's switch legs. So glide your other leg back behind you, and don't worry about moving this front shin. Just gently rocking side to side, the hips will get lower to the floor without forcing. And then when you're ready, you might start to come into the forward fold. So we're taking out the back bend stress on the body element that we often take into the pigeon. And I want you to just focus on the wonderful things you're doing for the hip. These external rotators, the glutes, powerful muscles. We need to stretch them out with a little bit of patience without forcing. So your eyes closed, finding your pigeon in a restorative pose. Gradually the hips will level out. So we will, without forcing and strain, find that alignment of the hips, opening of the hips, finding space in the front of this thigh, release with the psoas. So gently rocking into it. One more breath. And at the end of the exhalation, nice and slowly lift the head and let's ease your back leg forward. Taking the soles of the feet together, gently sway out the hips. And there, I'll leave you with the idea that whatever classes you go on to do, sometimes we can actually make them a little bit more intense by backing off and making the body hold you in place. So there's a thought for today. There's the half an hour gone.